Hello and welcome to 7 for 12 Ask Harmy's IPL auction reaction. What a fantastic auction it was. We had a lot of drama, a lot of, I'm sure a lot of fingernails were bitten. Teams going head to head for some big superstars. Headline, well, you've got to go for the most expensive. Ishan Kishan going back to Mumbai. No real surprise that he's going back to Mumbai. Fantastic player. What a fantastic player Ishan Kishan is. Chahar, did he just elevate his price that little bit during the one days versus the West Indies? Because I thought his performance with the brand new ball in the power play was excellent. Sirish Iyer, not surprised that he went for a big fee. I think there's leadership qualities in him. Over the moon for Liam Livingstone. I really am pleased for Liam Livingstone because he didn't play in Rajasthan last time. He decided he was going to go and play some cricket in England to get out of the bubble. And I thought, that might go against him further down the line, but it hasn't. And I'm really chuffed to bits for Liam that he's getting not only a bumper contract, he's getting a team where I actually think he's going to play. I didn't think he had a chance of playing at Rajasthan too much, not with Butler and Stokes and David Miller, who was there. So I'm really chuffed to bits for Liam Livingstone. England players, well, what is it? 11 bought, 2 retained in Moeen Ali and Jos Buttler for CSK and Rajasthan. Chris Woakes and Ben Stokes for a number of reasons opted that because of the scheduling, they weren't going to go and play, which is, I think, is good for English cricket in the long term. I think they needed a little bit of a recharge batteries. 3 notable surprises for me in not being picked up in this IPL auction. Very, very surprised that Adil Rashid hasn't getting an IPL go, because I think he's one of the best. He's up there with one of the best 3 slow bowlers, spin bowlers in T20 at this moment in time. I think he's a superstar. Is Adil Rashid in the shortest format of the game. Dawid Malan, I'm surprised nobody took Dawid Malan. He's in the top 3 ICC rankings of world T20s. That surprised me that Dawid Malan didn't get a go. And another one is Owen Morgan. I'm really surprised that nobody's took the England captain, especially after leading KKR to the latter stages of the IPL last year. It just shows you the IPL is a ruthless business. And if you're not scoring runs, or you don't feel as though you can perform, then you quickly get binned and you quickly get overtaken. And it's quite ironic. The person that has took his contract is the person that Owen Morgan's more or less said, I won't pick ever again for England, and that is Alex Seal. So we look at the England players that have been selected, and there's a stellar superstar list, $1 million men. In Liam Livingstone going to Punjab Kings. I think that is for me is a good move for Liam. Jofra Archer, another headline act, who got picked up for about £1 million by Mumbai Indians. What an attack that'll be. They also signed Tamal Mills, but to have Jofra Archer and Jasprit Bumrah bowling at the death, you're going to have to get your runs in quickly in the middle, because they don't give too much away at the end. With Pearce, variety. So I'm pleased to see Jofra's getting a big contract, and it's a big gamble for Mumbai Indians, who not only is he not going to be playing this year, how he comes back and where he comes back in his career when it comes to the elbow, then that will be something that they'll be keeping a close eye on. Mark Wood, Johnny Bairstow, I'm chuffed to bits for them too, because they both missed out on test contracts not so long ago. So a peer deal like this will go a long way to sort of look after that hole that they feel as though they should have had from the ECB. Look as though they've recruited well. Andy Flower, I think they've recruited very, very well in the obviously the new franchises. I think they have. Gujarat and look now have recruited very, very well, and I think Mark Wood's going to play. When he came last time, he came to CSK, didn't look like playing. I think he played 1 game, went for a few, and then never really got back in the side. So, fingers crossed, not only is Mark a better bowler now, I think he'll have enjoyed the experience and he knows what's going to hit him when he does get to the new franchise. So I'm pleased for Mark. I'm chuffed a bit for Johnny. Punjab Kings, they look as though they've got some power in that team, not only with Liam Livingston, but also with Johnny Bairstow. Going down the list, Chris Jordan, another you call him journeyman now, because he's at an age now, Chris Jordan, he's closer to the end than he is to the start of his franchise career, and he's gone to the right place, hasn't he? He's a lot of talk about CSK being Dad's army. Well, I think Chris Jordan will fit in very, very nicely in that role. He's probably vying for a spot with somebody that's been there quite a while in Dwayne Bravo, but I think you've got two like replacements for each other if one of them does drop out. Jason Roy goes to the new franchise in Gujarat, and I think they've recruited well. They retained, or they got Rashid Khan, and also with Jason Roy, Lockie Ferguson, David Miller, Alzari Joseph, Matthew Wade. Yeah, I think Gujarat will be a strong outfit. But it's great to see Jason Roy get a go. And then further down the list of England players, Tamil Mills going to Mumbai Indians. And like I mentioned before, what explosive attack that could be. Tamil Mills, Jasper Bumrah, and Jofra Archer next year. That could be edge of your seat stuff. So it's very, very good for English cricket that some of our younger players and more inexperienced players are getting a chance to play in the IPL. And I'm thinking of the likes of Sam Billings. Benny Howell is getting a gig, somebody that nobody really knows. Benny Howell's getting a go at Punjab Kings. Probably won't play as much, but from an experience point of view, I'm sure, and a bank balance point of view, I'm sure he'd be very, very happy. And I'm pleased for Benny Howell, who seems to be getting a good name for himself, playing the shortest format around the world in franchise cricket. Is he close to being in England? Well, to be fair, you just look at the England side. It's a ridiculous side to get into. So when somebody like Benny Howell gets a contract, don't be too surprised that he hasn't played for England. It's just because of the embarrassment of riches that Owen Morgan has got to choose from in the shortest format of the game. David Willey gone to RCB, play with Virat Kohli. That's very, very good for David Willey, and fingers crossed he can get a game in there. And the one that I want to mention, not Sam Billings, because Sam Billings' his new teammate at KKR is going to be Alex Hales. And a lot of question marks have been on Alex Hales. Does he deserve to play in the IPL? Of course he does. He's a good player. He's a fantastic player. There's no question on his ability. But unfortunately for Owen Morgan and the England selectors, they see it differently, that they don't want him around the England side. There's no trust there anymore. And when you look at it, who are we to argue, because they're a very, very successful unit? It's just a bit ironic that Alex Hales is probably taking the contract of the England captain in Owen Morgan. So England players to look out for, the strengths are evident there to be seen. Not many people know Benny Howell, but the rest of them, the household names and lads have done very, very well in international cricket. So for me, I'll look at who is recruited best when we have a look at the teams. And I don't know. I think the teams, if you go through the Chennai Super Kings, they're an aging side, but they're a fantastic side. One thing I will say about the teams this year, it seems as though they're all going for power. They're all going for big six hitters and players that can clear the rope. A lot of the West Indian boys have come into the auction and been picked up for decent money because the athleticism and the power that they've got. But Chennai will be strong under Mahendra Singh Dhoni, no question about that. Can they keep Jadeja fit for the whole tournament? You look at the overseas players. Again, you look at Devon Conway, an excellent player. Mitchell Santner, been there quite a while, knows the CSK way and movements. You look at Chris Jordan. Can he displace Dwayne Bravo? Because that's who he's probably looking at. They're a very, very good side. A side which, when you look at probably their first 11, they'll have Gaikwad, Conway, Ali, as their first three. And they've got a bit of pace at the back end as well. So yeah, they're all fantastic sides. You write Chennai off most years because of the age of a lot of their sides, but they keep coming back and they're always there or thereabouts at the end of it. So I think Chennai again. Is it going to be Mahendra Singh Dhoni's last year? I hope not, because he's a fantastic character in the game. But as we've seen with the England selectors at the minute with Broad and Anderson, all things must come to an end. Hopefully, if it is going to be Mahendra Singh Dhoni's last year in the IPL, fingers crossed he has a good one. So we move on to the next one, RCB. Again, another franchise that sometimes flatter to deceive. Go off like a train and then stall a little bit and then have a big burst at the end to try and get into the eliminators. But any team that's got Virat Kohli in it is going to be a very, very tough team to beat. I think they've recruited, I'll say this quite a bit, they've recruited well. I think Faf du Plessis at the top of the order, he'll be a good partner for Virat Kohli. And if they get off to a good start, wow, Glenn Maxwell, he had a fantastic tournament last year. He's in a little bit of touch. You look at the 100, he had a great 150 in the latter stages of not the 100, in the Big Bash, sorry. And again, down the order, you look at the recruitment. You've got some power in obviously you've got Finn Allen, you've got Rutherford from obviously the Caribbean. Hasaranga is a one that in that middle order, the middle overs. His ability to turn the ball both ways will be so invaluable. And as we've seen in Sri Lanka against Australia, Josh Hazlewood is bowling very, very nicely. As well as, hopefully, when you see the England watch, David Willey will get a game. So, again, you look at their team and their top order will be strong. Du Plessis, Kohli, Maxwell, Dinesh Karthik, and then obviously Hasaranga coming in a little bit lower down with Mohammad Siraj and Josh Hazlewood making up the bulk of the RCB side, I think. So moving on, who we got next? We've got KKR. A surprise that they didn't go back for Owen Morgan. I thought they might have gone for Owen Morgan's leadership, but they've signed and spent a lot of money on Sarah Shire. So it'll be interesting to see if there is a leadership passing of the baton towards the young Indian middle order batsman. Again, the Jinky Rahane potentially going in up top, with either side of Venkatesh Iyer and Sirish Iyer, Nitesh Rana. And then the middle order will be powerful. Sam Billings, Andre Russell, Sunil Narine, and Pat Cummins. That is a fantastic middle order all-rounders who can take the game away from you with both, bat and ball. And then you've got Chakravarti at the back end. An interesting moment, Umesh Yadav, signing Umesh Yadav from RCB. I think that's a good signing. He's a good Indian bowler, along with Mavi. That could be just spring a surprise for me, KKR. It's a very, very good side. But when you look at the overseas options, they've got quite a lot of bases covered. Alex Heels, if they need a little bit up top, he could probably come in. I don't think he'll start. Tim Southey, again, experience. And Mohammad Nabi, if they want to get an extra spinner in the middle there or a replacement for Sunil Narine, then I'm sure that's where Nabi will fit in. So, yeah, very good from KKR. And again, they will potentially get to the latter stages like last year. Who we got next? We got the Mumbai Indians. Well, they have to be favourites, don't they? Anybody with Rohit Sharma, Jasprit Bumrah, Suryakumar Yadav, and then obviously they spend big on Ishant Kishan. Four very, very good Indian cricketers who are playing at the high in their national team and playing very, very good cricket. Kieran Pollard, they retained, which is no real surprise because he is a serial winner. He just wins every time that he seems to be in franchise tournaments. And they've sprung a few surprises on the overseas. When you look at Daniel Sams, Tamal Mills, Tim David, who will probably bat in that middle order, between Suryakumar Yadav and Kieran Pollard. They've gone a little bit different than what they normally have. Fabian Allen, left arm spinner from the West Indies, who hits the ball hard as well. So, and an athlete in the field. So I just wonder if Karen Pollard has had a little bit of influence in bringing overseas players in. But you look at, they're Indian players, the players who play for the national team, who represent Mumbai Indians, and they are seasoned performers. And this will be a team that finishes higher than Mumbai Indians in the league will probably win the IPL. I think this team will be a very, very, very strong unit and a difficult team to beat. So, good luck the chasing pack. Right, from there, where are we going next? We're going to Delhi. And I think Delhi have, for me, they've done a masterstroke getting David Warner and Mitchell Marsh. I think you've seen in the World T20 final and throughout the tournament, and in the Ashes for Warner's, the way Warner played. I think it's I think this will be a good side. And you look at David Warner, Prithvi Shaw, Mitch Marsh, Rishabh Pant, and then just got a glimpse, didn't we? Just got a glimpse of Rothman Powell in the West Indies. That big 100 in one of the games. That's the only real contribution he had when he came into it. I think if he goes to India and gets in and comes alive, then he could be the match winner. He could be the difference in getting the Delhi Capitals in towards the final and the latter stages. They've gone against getting Rabada back. They've kept Nokia. You look at Kuldeep Yadav's come in from KKR. I think he was at. So I think all in all, with Shidul Thakur coming from CSK, it's a well-balanced side is the Delhi Capitals. They've got some good all-rounders. They've got a bit of pace. But one thing they've got in that middle order, if you've got Rothman Powell, you've got power. So again, I think Mumbai Indians and Delhi Capitals could be the two teams that that everybody will be frightened of. Moving on, the Punjab Kings, another team who had a struggle. They've had a struggle in recent times, and they didn't keep too many on. They just retained two players at the top, Mayank Agarwal, who batted fantastically well in the last couple of IPLs. But they've gone different this time, and you look at their side, the balance of their side looks good as well. When you think of Shikhar Dhawan at the top of the order alongside Mayank Agarwal, so Dhawan's coming in instead of KL Rahul, and then you've got Bairstow and Livingston, two England players, probably going to bat 3 and 4. You're thinking it could be a good year for the English players in the IPL, and none more so than Bairstow and Liam Livingston. And then at the bottom, you look lower down, right at the end there, you've got some power as well, along with Odean Smith. He gives you that little bit extra with it, number 8, who potentially could come in and hit 3 sixes off the last 3 balls. But he's also a jack in the box when it comes to the bowling as well. So the signed Kagisa Rabada, who one of the best white ball bowlers going. So Rabada, Smith, Chahar, I think they've got enough bowling there to really compete this year. So fingers crossed for all you Kings 11 fans. And then moving on from there, the Sunrisers kept Kane Williamson, paid a lot of money for Nicholas Pooran. You look down the overseas there, Marco Janssen, Aidan Markram, Glenn Phillips. They've got a well-balanced unit. Hopefully Bhuvaneshwar Kumar can stay fit throughout the tournament for the Sunrisers fans, and that will give them a chance in the tournament. So, fingers crossed that the fitness doesn't play a big part, because I think in times in past, I think some of the Sunrisers players, the good players, big players, haven't stayed fit for the full tournament, and that's possibly cost them to get into and ended up in the latter stages of the tournament. So, and moving on from there, as we quickly run through the sides, like I mentioned, I think Lucknow have recruited very, very well. KL Rahul will probably captain the side, a fantastic player. Marcus Stoinis batted beautifully and bowled a little. Didn't bowl as much as I thought he would for Delhi last year, but another very, very handy middle order power player. Jason Holder. Be interesting to see how they use Jason Holder in the middle overs, whether with bat and with ball. Another West Indian player who's performing very, very well at the moment. And they look like a very, very well balanced unit. Quentin de Kock at the top of the order. Self-explanatory. He's a serial winner, a lot like Kieran Pollard from obviously in Mumbai. And then I'm chuffed to bits that Mark Wood has not only got a contract, but he's actually had a franchise where I think he's going to play the majority of the games. So look, now could be, I know it's their first year, but them alongside Gujarat might just spring a surprise. So fingers crossed for all you England fans, because Mark Wood, he seems to be winning fans all around the world after his performances in the Ashes. Hopefully has as good an IPL as he did in Australia. Moving on, we've got Rajasthan, a team that has got another English player in it, and one that we all like to see them do well, especially when they had Stokes and Butler in the side, and Livingston that was in there before. But Stokes is not there. Livingston's moved on to pastures new, but the one player who's had a bit of a struggle in Australia, but the shortest format of the game, he is one of the very best, if not the best. And I'm going to be intrigued to see how Rajasthan use Jos Buttler in the tournament, whether they opens the baton. Doesn't look as though he is going to. Looks as though he might end up batting number 4 ahead of Shimron Hetmyer, another player who was, I think, a lot of West Indies fans would like to see him back in the West Indies side if he can get himself in a fit enough state to do so. But again, I think they've recruited well in Padikkal at the top of the order. Obed McCoy, whether he plays or he might just miss out for Trent Bolt. But Obed McCoy is a very, very good bowler. Very good bowler. Not many seen too much of him, but another West Indian who I think will step up if there's some injuries. And you just got to look. Krishna's in fantastic form. Yuzvendra Chahal, who bowled very, very well for India in the recent one days. And also, you look at Ravi Ashwin. So the Ravi Ashwin, Jos Buttler duel that's been happening many, many times when England have played India after the Mankhead incident. They're now on the same side. So I would imagine the captain will just have to, make sure that they're both singing off the same hymn sheet. I'm sure they will because they're professional and playing for the side. But again, Rajasthan on paper look very, very good, but we'll see what happens when we get out into the battle. And you look, and I think that's it. The last one is Gujarat Lions. And again, another team who come into the IPL, new franchise. They've got some good players. And you look at the top there, the 3 players that they got on the return list. Hardik Pandya in the middle, devastating, especially if he can be bowling. Rashid Khan, Shubman Gill. You look at Pearce in Lockie Ferguson, the way Jason Roy plays the top of the order. I'd imagine Jason will start up there at the top. Alzari Joseph bowled very, very well in India in the one days, and it'll be intriguing to see how he goes in 2020s. So, another team who have, because obviously they're new, recruited well, and it's just be a case of can they get off to a good start and a fast start, and they might have an outside chance of causing a few upsets, especially when not really that fancy because they're a new franchise and a new entity. But we wish them all the best. So there's your teams. It's going to be fascinating to see how it starts in early April and who hits the ground running. I think we've got a few questions, have we? And we'll take the questions now, and we'll see what we'll give you the honest answers that we can possibly get. So, question 1. I think we've got questions. Right. How big a risk have Mumbai Indians taken on Jofra Archer, even if he gets fit for next year? Ashes at home, post IPL, World Cup after that. Have they taken a risk? I think he can take a risk on Jofra. I really do. I think he will come back strong. You've seen him in the Caribbean. He was running around. He was in good spirits. Bumped into him just for a brief 2 minutes, but he was in good spirit, good order, thinking positively, talking positively, and also saying he wants to play all 3 formats of the game. So, while he's got that mentality, he'll come back strong. I've got no doubt whatsoever. There might be a risk this year, but once you get Bumrah and Archer playing on the same side, wow, that'll be a no risk whatsoever. It's a no-brainer. So for me, I don't think it's a massive risk. I just think it's one that you just have to be patient on, all you Mumbai Indian fans. Very good. Next, Adira, do you think that the RCB will play Finn Allen at 3, Maxi at 4, Indian core, the likes of DK, I'm sure that's Dinesh Karthik, Loma in the lower middle order. I don't think Finn Allen will play. I really don't. I think the 4 overseas players for RCB will probably be Faf, Duplessis, Glenn Maxwell at 4. I think Shabazz Ahmed? I think he might bat at number 3 in between Virat Kohli, obviously, and Faf opening up with Maxwell at 4, Dinesh Karthik at 5. I think Loma will bat 6 and Hasaranga 7. I think the 4 overseas players will be Maxwell, obviously Duplessis, Hasaranga, and I think Josh Hazlewood, the way he's bowling at the minute, he might just get the nod over maybe a Behrendorff or a David Willey. So for me, no, I don't think Finn Allen will play. I think Maxwell will bat 4. I think Duplessis will go in up top. I think they'll want to have the 4th overseas being that one with Pearce, and that would be Josh Hazlewood for me. I think Hasaranga will play all tournament. Next question. On what credentials do Colonel Pandya type of players get 9 crore of money? I think the honest answer to that is, Venki, is that when somebody else wants you, they seem to get bought because 2 or 3 franchises want that balance of the attack. They want somebody who can bat and hit sixes off the last 10 balls of an innings, but they also want the beauty of having that 6th bowler. I think it's so important now because of how good the batting is and how cleanly these guys clear the rope. I think they need 6th and 7th bowler, especially 6th bowler. I don't think you can go into the game anymore now with just 5 bowlers. I think you're putting far too much pressure on people. So the ones that can fiddle a few overs and bowl 2 or 3 overs and potentially hit at number 6 or number 7, they seem to be the ones that have been the most valuable in the auction, rather than in the past they've gone for maybe a quarter of the money to just make up the numbers. Now these seem to be more important because the 6th bowler is crucial. So they're not massive names. I don't think they're going to win you a tournament on themselves, but I think that their contribution in each game will be big enough to help their side win and potentially get themselves into the eliminators. So I think that's why they've gone for that much money. G. Paul, who should KKR player as the 4th overseas? Hills as opener, Billings in the middle, Narayan, Cummins, Russell are short of player. I think Billings will play over Hills. I think Billings will play over Hills. I look at the side. I think you've got the 2 Ayers in between Ajika Rahane going in first. I think Nitish Rana will bat number 4. And then I think you'll get the 4 overseas players in a row. You'll get Sam Billings, Andre Russell, Sunil Narayan, and Pat Cummins. And I think if they want Hales to go in first, it means you're just having to move Ajinkya Rahane further down the order. I think he's better off, more suited now, going in first. So I think if Hales hits the ground running in practice, then he might go in at the top of the order. It just means then you have to try and find that middle order batsman. And I'm not sure Rahane now bats in the middle order. I think he has to go in first and potentially hit the ball through the field in the power play. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. That's a good question, that. It'll be interesting to see if Alex Hales does get a game. I hope he does, because he's English and I want to see all our England players play. So, but it'll be intriguing to see who he starts in place of. because I think you're right. Russell, Narayan, and Cummins do all play. What do you think the opening partner for will it be Robbie or will it be Devon Conway? I think it'll be Conway. I really think it'll be Conway. I think Conway will start with Gaikwad, and I think Moeen Ali and Rayudu will bat 4, MS Dhoni 5, Jadeja 6. And then for me, it'll be whether it's Chris Jordan at 8 over Bravo or Bravo at 8 over Jordan. But I think Conway will open a batting ahead of who else have they got to open? I just think, I think he'll open the batting. I think Conway, he's an interesting one, Conway. I think signing him, I think you play him because he's a fantastic player. He's an opening batsman, and he's got a very, very good T20 record. So I think he fits into that CSK side very, very well. Next question. Thoughts on not picking Morgan? Hills comes in for him. Pretty ironic. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing how life can bring up these, the coincidences. But Morgan will be disappointed. He's not been in great form with the bat, but I think sometimes in the field when he's captain, especially if he's captain, I could understand if you weren't going to have him as captain. I think if you went somewhere, he had to be captain, because I've always said about Owen Morgan, he is a great all-rounder. And people say, well, he doesn't bowl. And I don't mean he doesn't need to bowl, because his field positions, his bowling changes, his mindset, his ability to think clearly under pressure, I think saves you 10, 15 runs in the field. And I think if you add that to his batting, I think that's why I believe he's a very, very good all-rounder. So it's disappointing that Owen Morgan hasn't getting a go. I'm pleased for Alex Hills, as much as I think he's wasted his time by some of his actions. If a lot of the stuff is believed to be true of England not trusting him and not picking him, but I think in the end of the day, I think the ship sailed from an England point of view for Alex Hales. Hasn't quite sailed yet, I don't think, for Owen Morgan. I still think there's life in him yet. But you're right, very ironic that Hales takes Morgan's contract. So that's it. It's been fascinating to get your questions. It's going to be a great tournament. It is. It really is. I think it's going to be, looking at the sides, I think it's going to be high quality again. I'm going to back one of the new franchises to go very, very well. I'm not sure which one, but I'm going to say one of them two new franchises, I think we'll get to the eliminators. So that will spring a surprise on teams that have been around and got their formulas very, very well. So I hope it's luck now, because it's obviously Mark Wood is somebody I like very, very much, and he's very, very close to. But I also think Gujarat's got a chance as well, because the way they set up their top order in Jason Roy, and they've got a bit of pace and very, very good bowlers in Lockie Ferguson, Mohammad Shami, and Rashid Khan. So watch out for them two teams. I don't think they're there to make the numbers up. I actually think they're there to go and potentially go and win it. So let's see what happens. But we'll cross that bridge as and when we go. If you got this far, please like, subscribe, and leave a review, and we will be back soon. Thank you.